West Coast road trips are horrible. They are incredibly difficult. It's 5 games all away from home in a row. Oftentimes when you're on the West Coast, you're playing very good teams. Lack of rest, not situated in your normal setting. All of these complications usually lead to difficulties in the win-loss category. So when this West Coast road trip started, I probably would have comfortably taken a 3-2 record. If you offered me 3-2, I would have said, you know what? We come out of it with a winning record. I think that's fine. We avoid any issues, we avoid any disaster. 3-2 is fine. Honestly, when the Raptors won their second game of the road trip, I thought, you know what? 2-3 isn't even the end of the world. I won't take it, but I won't be super upset. I'll be fine with a 2-3 West Coast road trip. But for the Raptors to pull through, win 4 games in a row on the back end of the trip, go 4-1 on their West Coast road trip, and round it off with an unbelievable win over the defending champion, Western Conference 1 seed, Oklahoma City Thunder. With everything going on with the team, it's truly, truly sensational. So let's break it down a little further here. The OKC game in particular, Raptors were 11.5 point underdogs. That is a huge spread. That is a huge spread where you give very little chance on that team actually being able to win. The Raptors winning that game was unlikely. I wanted them to give a good account for themselves, but truthfully, going into that game, even leading up to that game, the week leading up to that game, I was concerned. Look, the Thunder, sure they're missing guys, but they have had their way with a lot of teams this season. And for the Raptors, an absolute scheduling nightmare. That was the last leg of their West Coast road trip, which I talked about how difficult it is. But that is the 5th game out of 5 on the West Coast. Likely, team is going to be gassed going into a game like that. Not to mention, again, it is against the Thunder in Oklahoma City. That is such a difficult game. So for the Raptors to be able to pull through that, it is extraordinarily impressive, and it has to. People around the league have no choice whatsoever but to take notice of that and the performance it was. Now, I saw some articles that discussed this game a little bit further and put a bit of the blame of the game on OKC's lack of depth and the injuries that they have. But you know what? That's a crock of shit. Sure, they're missing guys, but the Raptors have been dealing with significant injuries all throughout the season. They dealt with a couple in this game in particular. And again, 5th game of 5 on the West Coast road trip at OKC. Let's give this team a little bit of credit here, okay? No Jakob Poeltl once again for this one. They haven't had him for most of the games this season. No Colin Murray-Boyles. So there was, at times, lineups in this game where the Raptors, the tallest guy on the court, was 6'6", 6'7". And sometimes, at times in this game, the tallest player on the court for the Raptors was Gradey Dick. So you want to talk to me about unavailability? We were feeling it and still managed to beat the Thunder. Huge shout-outs to Scottie Barnes for the way he played defensively in this game. A huge shout-outs to Immanuel Quickley for how he played in this game, and particularly how he closed in this game. Shed was great. Walter was great. Gradey Dick was great. We got the depth that the OKC Thunder did not out of this game. But in the end, the Raptors have 8 players who score 9 or more points. So even though we weren't able to match the physicality and the size the Thunder possessed, the Raptors were still able to come through and win this game. Maybe a little bit messy, but we brought the Thunder's level down and were able to capitalize and were able to win in the clutch. And again, a very large reason why the Raptors were able to accomplish that is the sensational defensive play of Scottie Barnes once again. It's important to, realize here that the Raptors are trying to bring in this defensive-minded mentality going into the season, but that was to kind of mask the fact that it wasn't supposed to be a super talented defensive team. After all, Scottie Barnes, wasn't regarded like this defensively coming into the season, but the players around him, like, you think of the starting five. Jakob Perl's a good defender, but he's never been available. He's never really been available this season. So you have a guy like Malmo Killers, who's a neat and tidy player, but not a great defender. Not like one of the better defensive teams in the NBA's anchor of a center. Definitely can't have that. Brandon Ingram's not a great defender. RJ Barrett's not a good defender. Immanuel Quickley is not a great defender. And Barnes, just from how exceptional he's been on that end of the floor, is making those players around him better defensively, and he is like willing this team into one of the best defenses in the NBA. It's fantastic. And what really highlighted all this incredible defensive plays showcased throughout the season is late in the game, the Raptors needed a stop. Chet Holmgren rises up. 7'1", Chet Holmgren rises up in mid-range. Scottie Barnes blocks it, helps come away with the rebound as well. Like, to be able to pull that off, truly spectacular. Barnes, from what I saw, leads the NBA in clutch steals plus blocks this season. I think he has 8 of those this season. But on the season as a whole, like, we don't even need to, like, cherry pick a sample size or anything. Scottie Barnes leads the entire NBA in steals plus blocks this season. He has 131, 69 blocks, and 62 steals. Closely following behind is Tyrese Maxey. Then you have Derek White, Evan Mobley, Jay Huff, and Victor Wembanyama at 6. Granted, who's missed a lot of games this season. But Scottie Barnes leading the way in steals plus blocks this season. A lot of where the Raptors have had success this season has felt like not to put them down or anything, but the Raptors often this season have won the games where they're not at their best. And I asked this maybe even 2 months ago now. Is this a case of the Raptors are getting lucky, or is it a case like this is a good team and good teams find a way to win? I kind of was cautious about what I was saying there, but in the end, I kind of felt like this is a good team that they're just finding ways to win even when they aren't playing well. But again, it just feels like throughout so much of this season, when the Raptors aren't at their best, aren't playing their best basketball, they're able to get the stops. They're able to do enough to win, especially in the clutch. They have so often found ways to get over the line in the clutch in games where, for the past 2 years, they find ways to lose games. This year, they find ways to win games. And I think a very, very large reason why is the incredible defensive level that Barnes gives on pretty much a night-to-night basis. So I have to give him a ton of credit. In the Defensive Player of the Year conversation right now, Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren are the favorite. I think it's basically going to boil down to, if Victor Wembanyama plays enough games, he's going to win the award, and he deserves it. He has to meet the 65-game threshold. He can only miss 3 more games for the rest of the season. If he plays 65 games, that's the best defensive player in the NBA. He's going to win it. If he doesn't, it's probably going to be Chet. As long as Chet meets the threshold of games, which he's been relatively healthy this year, he probably will. And then there's Rudy Gobert kind of trickling a bit lower than them in the conversation. But right now, I don't think there's 4 better defenders in the NBA than Scottie Barnes. I definitely believe, looking at it right now, Scottie Barnes is playing like the 4th best. You could even make a case he's been a top 3 defender this season. As we keep going through the season, if the Raptors can maintain levels like this, where, my goodness, this is a top 4. This Raptors team is a top 4 defense in the NBA. They're top 4 in defensive rating right now. This Raptors team on paper should be nowhere near this. I kind of was hoping this season we'd be middle of the pack defense. Let's make our offense maybe top 10 and propel us forward. To be top 4 over halfway through the season. I don't want to give not to give all the credit to Scottie Barnes, because a lot of people are chipping in, doing good work. But for the level that Scottie Barnes brings on a night-to-night basis, it has done extraordinary things for the Raptors this season and on this West Coast road trip.